In partnership with WYTV7 Christian Broadcasting Network, this is When Men Open Up, a show where we are redefining manhood through transparency. My name is Dominique Bond.
And I'm Dexter Pagans.
And the topic for today is dating while broke. I seen this question. I thought this was a really good question. I thought we'll have a good, conversation about this question. And the thing is, it's a real question. But in my personal opinion, it's not cut and dry. It's not a cut and dry answer. And there are a lot of people in this situation.
True.
So I think I have a lot. I got a lot of questions. I have a lot of comments. Other people had a lot of comments and questions as well. So Dex, I'm gonna have you open it up, man. It's all you, man.
You put the pressure
Dating
on.
while broke. I'm broke. Should I be dating?
Well, listen, man. I would definitely agree that we definitely got a lot of engagement around this topic, and so no need to beat around the bush. The first thing I would say, let's be honest. There's levels to this.
There's a lot of levels to it.
There are levels to being broke, and so and so I don't want to sit out here and say, well, nah, you shouldn't date, but I think this topic requires a sense of transparency and honesty with you, the individual. I say this, once upon a time, when I first met my wife, I was what I like to call functionally broke. And what I mean was, I had a pretty good job. I had the big boy truck, and I share this story quite often. I had the big boy truck, had the big rims on it, and kept a fresh pair of Air Force Ones. I had all the trappings of making it seem like I had money, but the reality is that every month my cell phone was getting turned off, and what I lacked was a sense of good money management. I would always look at my account like, man, where's my money going? And so, to be honest, I was broke, and thank God for whatever reason, my wife, I guess she saw the potential, so she stuck it out, and here we are now, this day. So
you still shoot your shot.
Hey, I shot my shot.
Right.
Listen, the heart wants what it wants, and so, my financial situation was not keeping me from shooting my shot.
Right.
But the reality is that where I was at that time, I could have done a better job financially. But let's be honest, once again, I was in the military. I had a steady income coming. My issue is that I wasn't good at money management. Now, there are people who are, let's say, going through the motions of life, may not have a job, may not know where the next check is coming.
Right.
And they found themselves kind of content, you gotta, take some accountability. I would just say that maybe this individual is the type of person that may say, hey, you know what? Maybe my focus shouldn't be on entering any type of romantic relationships.
Definitely.
Maybe my focus should be on getting my act together. The weird thing is that not everybody sees it that way. That individual may say, hey, well, this is how things are, and take it or leave it. And the strange thing is some people say, well, hey, I like you, so I'm willing to go at it with you. I would just caution to say, don't romanticize the struggle. Some people find some kind of, there's this, unique bond that takes place when you're struggling together. But are you intentionally entering a struggle that you don't have to? Especially if this person has determined that this is the type of life that they want, I would caution the other person from jumping out there and saying, well, hey, I'm going to help you out, especially if that person hasn't acknowledged that there's an issue.
Most definitely. Don't romanticize the struggle. I like that. Some people may ask, with us having this question, this topic, why is this even a question? And let's be honest, when it comes down to men and not understand that masculinity, we identify our identity is much valued upon our income, how much money is in the bank, how are we as a financial provider. So that's a big reason why it will be a question, because if we feel like we cannot provide, then we may have that thought that, you know what, I probably need to be putting dating to the side.
Yeah.
And it might be the case and it may not. But my question is, when it come down to this, and I like that we wanna define, broke. I had to learn very early, when it came down to certain terms, everyone used terms differently.
Yes.
So your, definition of broke may be different from mine.
Functional broke. Yes.
Exactly. There's some people may only define being broke as you only got $20 to you. My personal opinion, if I got, I don't know, $200 to my name, I'm broke, because I can't, any type of emergency, I'm broke. You get what I'm saying? So my first question is, is it a fear, concern about how women may look at you, or is it a fear of you reaching your financial goals? I don't really necessarily look at dating per se as the issue. I look at more so the responsibility.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because there are much other things in your life that can also get in the way of you reaching financial goals.
Exactly.
So if dating becomes, the main priority, maybe that might not be the best, decision for you to make.
Yeah.
Because now what you're gonna do is you're gonna lack that balance of knowing when to say no, knowing when to go forth, pull back, and so forth. Because it's very, very important, because now everything relies on your financial goals. Is based upon your understanding of dating, is dating going to get in the way of you reach financial goals? And that's a question that you have to ask yourself. I believe it's actually possible. Based upon your level of broke, I think it is possible. But the question is that going to get in the way of your reaching your financial goals?
And I want to, on the other side of the same spectrum, I want to say that I don't think that it's wrong to date broke. Because when you're dating, in essence, you're talking about getting to know somebody. It does not have to become a romantic relationship. It can really just become a friendship. And so if you're in the process of getting to know somebody, that doesn't always require finance.
That's it.
But the individual still has to determine within themselves what type of goals they're aspiring towards. Some friendships don't require financial transactions. A romantic relationship where you're building with somebody, at some point in time, there will be some financial exchange taking place. And if you're not able to handle that level of responsibility, then you're setting yourself up for failure, and you're setting your partner up for frustration. And so, once again, my viewpoint is that it's okay to date broke. But ask yourself, what is the expectation from this relationship that you're building? To go on a date, you might not ever go back on another date with that same person again.
Right.
And they don't need to be privy to your bank account or your situation. So the fact that I only have, say, $200 in my pocket, that's not for you to know, But we've been together for some time, and we're building towards something. That might be something that comes out in the conversation, because now we're talking about building together. And if we're building together, then we need to know about each other's resources. What is it that you're really bringing to the table? What is your current situation that would hinder us from accomplishing what we said we want?
Most definitely. And we don't want to make things complicated. Dating is you basically investing time and energy to get to know someone. That's basically what it is. And like you stated before, it doesn't always have to consist of you coming out of pocket or, spending $50, $100, whatever the case may be. But it's very, very important, I think, to have some level of honesty. Really express your situation. You don't have to go all out. Keep in mind, you all, we're talking about first meeting someone. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to let the person know that you don't know, everything that's going on in your life. But there's levels to everything. You get what I'm saying? So understand that it's okay to express some of your goals and whatever the case may be, and be honest and be upfront.
Yeah.
But you don't have to share every single thing that's going on. Now, I think it's very, very important to, it's funny because when we was in undergrad, you know what I'm saying, we was working part time, whatever the case may be. Not having a lot in your 20s may be a little different from not having much in your 30s and 40s. You know what I'm saying? Being broke in your 20s. Some people say being broke in your 20s is different from being broke in your 30s and 40s. But I mean, it's all on perspective. You get what I'm saying? But this is the thing. I think it's okay, but when it comes down to you, I think you have to really define what dating is to you as well. And if you're not, based upon how you view dating, if you value other people's thoughts more than how you think of yourself, then what you're going to do is you're going to create this pressure within yourself.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? And you're going to say, all right, well, I can't afford this, but I'm going to do it because I don't want her to think that I'm less than a man.
Exactly. The danger with what we're talking about is that you can get caught up in false appearances.
Right.
Where you're projecting to have something that you really don't have. And what ends up taking place throughout the course of time, you get exposed, and so now it's, everything that you've been showing up to that moment is called into question, like, okay, I thought, you were doing well. What was this when we did this and when you did that? Which goes back to what you're saying, that there has to be a level of transparency. But the transparency, you don't have to expose or, tell everybody what your current situation is on the first date,
Right.
Get through the calamari and all of that first, and then decide that, if you're going to have another date and what this relationship is moving towards, then you start to have those conversations like, look, hey, this is my situation, and, I like you, but there's some things I want to work on. And then allow the other person the opportunity to say, you know what, I see something in you, I want to stick it out, or you know what,
Right.
I'm going to step out the picture, and when you get those things taken care of, reach out to me, and then we'll see what happens from there. But a lot of times we don't want to have that conversation because once again, it requires us not only being transparent, but it causes us to question our standing as men. And once again, that goes back to what we're taught early on, that a lot of our identity as men is wrapped up in our ability to provide. And if we don't have, say, the monetary resources, we start to question our own manhood. And so the first thing I would say for any man is that you have to have the right image of yourself. The first responsibility to yourself is to have a good relationship with yourself,
Right.
a good understanding of yourself. And if you have that good understanding, I believe that most other relationships should line up accordingly.
Most definitely. I think a good question is, how do you view your current situation? And I think if you're someone who's kind of laxed, kind of like someone else said to us the other day, kind of comfortable in your position, then I think that's gonna that's gonna be problematic. You get what I'm saying? Because now what you're gonna do is, if you're comfortable within your situation, if you don't view your situation as serious, then there's gonna be a whole, not just dating, there's gonna be other things that's gonna get in the way of you getting out of that. Just because you are currently broke doesn't necessarily mean you have to remain broke. But again, it's really how you view. I think another thing is how are you going to view or handle rejection? I think we have to be honest, that there's going to be some women after a certain time period you're dating, when they find out or have more understanding about the situation, they may not be good. They may not be cool with that. They may not be comfortable with that. And we have to be honest within ourselves and tell ourselves that they have every right to feel that way. You get what I'm saying? They have every right to feel uncomfortable about your situation, because at the end of the day, they really don't know too much about you, and they don't know if you are how long you're going to remain in that position. You get what I'm saying? So we have to be honest with ourselves that there's a chance that people will reject you, that some women will not like the position or the status that you're currently in. But how are you going to handle that rejection? You get what I'm saying? And part of handling that rejection is really being honest with yourself in the beginning and being honest with yourself that some people are not going to view that position like that, and they have every right to feel that way.
Exactly. I mean, that's good. I mean, because at the end of the day, I know, and I'll speak for myself, I'm the type of person I want to control every situation as much as I possibly can. And the reality is that you cannot take ownership of somebody's response. You know, you can't make them respond the way that you would hope that they would. And at the end of the day, a person, they have the right to say, you know what, yes, I'll help you, or no, I don't want anything to do with that. And it's not their responsibility to help you either. You know, we have to understand that. You know, there's the old saying that money can't buy love, but the reality it sure does help. You know, and let's be honest. You know, some people, especially as you're getting to know people, what you'll discover is that some people come up in hard environments,
Right.
and they've made agreements within themselves that says, you know what, I will never experience that again. And so when they cross paths with you, and your situation reminds them of what they came out of, you know, you can't get upset that they don't want to be a part of that. You know, one of the things that I tell people, especially those who I counsel in premarital counseling, I say that, you know, you got to make the distinction between courting and dating. You know, or exclusive dating with the intention of building a marital relationship.
Right.
You know, it's a courtesy to tell somebody that you're dating what your financial situation is, but it's your responsibility to tell the person that you're getting ready to enter into this marital relationship what's going on with your finances, because now your decisions and what's going on in your bank account impacts that person. Okay. And so you have to be transparent. You have to let that person know what's going on, you know, because they're entering into a not only a contractual relationship, but a covenant relationship with you, where your stuff now becomes their stuff. And if you have issues around the area of being able to manage your money, now that becomes a burden on them. And so there's a responsibility with letting that person know what's going on.
Most definitely. And I think in many cases, people can really appreciate that honesty because now they know what they're stepping into, know how to handle that. And once again, we don't always have to entertain the possibilities, the what ifs in our head, which could be negative. You know, just exercising those negative what ifs in your head, because that can make things a little nerve-wracking and cause more anxiety as well. I think another thing is with being honest with yourself. You know yourself best. You get what I'm saying? So you know you should know your self-control. So if you know, like, look, I'm in a bad financial situation, and I just know that if I start dating, man, you know, these women are gonna get in my head, and one thing's gonna lead to another and another. Be honest with yourself. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because now you're recognizing what your behavior is. You're recognizing that, you know what, I may come up short in this area. And that may be an area that you may say, you know what, I know if I jump into this situation, if I jump into this arena, I may lose control. Now you can do some self-reflection and understand why. Why is that the case? What are some things that make me disregard my goals? What are some things that'll make me kind of lose track of where I'm really going to? Because, brother, we all got some things where we just say, you know what, I'm not going to step here because I know that I'm going to end up doing something I have no business doing.
Exactly. Exactly. Messed up. You know, I want to give a level of encouragement to maybe somebody who's having some financial difficulties. And just say that, you know, there are seasons where financially things shift. You know, it doesn't always have to be a time when things are feels like they're on the decline. You know, you can recognize that, hey, I'm not going to be on this level forever. That I have the potential to command more and to, realize, my value. Uh, my admonishment is that you just can't be satisfied being broke.
Right.
Because that's unfair to the person who wants to be in a relationship with
Mm-hmm.
you. That might not be, once again, the type of life that they want for themselves. And if you're talking about having a relationship with somebody else where y'all are partnering, then once again, there's a responsibility to that person. And so, once again, you can't be satisfied with being broke and get upset that the person that you want to be in relationship does not
Mm-hmm.
want that for themselves. Money does not determine your ability to have a relationship with somebody.
Right.
As far as we're talking about, just the not only the nurturing but the being there for somebody. You don't need money for that. But if you're talking about building a life with somebody, then that requires finances, and that requires a conversation between those two people that says, you know what, this is what I want, and this is what we want,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I'm willing to contribute for us to realize this goal.
Most definitely. And to add to that, I think before we jump into that, and if we're still deciding on whether you should or not, you have every right to feel uncomfortable and not comfortable. If you feel like that dating is going to get in the way, then I would advise you not doing it as well. But understand why you think it's going to get in the way. Have that understanding. And if you do choose to date, understand that you have to develop and enforce some boundaries, some clear boundaries. What boundaries are you going to set for yourself in order to stay on track to reaching your financial goal? What boundaries, what parameters are you going to set for your life so you can get out of that situation? Because at the end of the day, we can we can easily allow certain things here and there, and it can add up over time into where we're back at, or we're in an even deeper hole. You get what I'm saying? Or we're in this hole longer than we really should be. So there's a lot of situations that we're into or that we fall into, and we remain in it way too long because we don't abide by our boundaries that we have set or we have not set. So develop some clear boundaries that is focused around your financial goals. And if you enforce that, you can set all the boundaries in the world, but you have to enforce those boundaries. If you enforce that, then I believe that you're going to be on the right track.
And I know that much of our conversation today has been geared towards the single person who said has no children. But let's be honest, if you have kids and you have responsibilities, then this I believe makes it all the more necessary for transparency,
Right.
especially if you're pursuing somebody that say has kids or whatnot, or you're the one who has kids. However, you cut it down the middle. At the end of the day, if there's somebody that's depending upon you, it's kind of hard for you to maintain a position where you're content with being broke. I do understand that circumstances happen that make
Most definitely.
money, kind of tight at home,
Yeah.
or makes your financial situation not what you want it to be. But mainly, I know a lot of people are just content with, how things are. It's almost like a lazy approach. And so, if that's your approach, I would just encourage you to give some thought to it, and really consider that there's people depending upon you to do what you need to do to get in right position, and to get into a relationship now. You're making yourself accountable to another person,
Most definitely.
and so you're opening yourself up to be questioned by someone else who is once again in the position of partnering with you. And if they're in that position, then you're going to have to do some type of self-examination and say, okay, I need to tighten up in these areas.
Most definitely. And we want you all's feedback as well. If you believe, that if you're in that type of financial situation, can you date? Should you stay out of it? should guys still shoot they shot? You know, we want to hear we want you all's feedback as well. But you know, I really do believe that, like we've been emphasizing, it's very, very important to be honest about your situation. It's very important to be honest about yourself and to the person as well, and to make sure that getting out of that situation is your first priority. And really developing those boundaries, developing that plan, and sticking to it, so you can get out of that situation. Your current situation does not define who you are and what you bring to the table. But and we just reading the comments right now. But we want you all's feedback. We want you all's feedback. DM us, inbox us, email us. You know, say, hey, you know, you need to stay at home. Or say, hey, you know, you can still go, you know, go sit down somewhere and
you can't even afford to pay attention. How you afford to go on the date?
Right.
So, you know, man, just you know, but hey, that's, you know, in different strokes for different folks. At the end of the day, you have to you have to ask yourself what works best for you. And once again, you know, dating is a you know, it's two people. You know, it takes two to tango. So at the end of the day, ask these questions. You know, you can ask leading questions that'll get you to the type of answers that you want. And if, you know, the person is not where you will desire for them to be, you have a say so in it too. You can make a decision. Some people are, you know, some people can see once again, the potential and say, you know what, despite you not being where you can be economically right now, I see the potential in you. And sometimes that's enough, you know, but that person needed to be transparent. And then other times people say, hey, no, I can't do it. And once again, you know, we're talking about two adults. And at the end of the day, as much as it hurts to hear that, you got to accept it. That person has the right to make a decision, and you have to accept the fact that that was their decision.
Yeah. Somebody said, I need your credit score for them 6 months. Hey, once again, we're not really telling everybody what to do. We love this topic. This is a fun topic, and a lot of people have a lot to say about this. But once again, like we opened up, there's levels to this. There's levels to this. There's the levels of broke. And broke ain't the same thing to everybody. So please communicate that. Let us know your feedback. Inbox us, email us when men open up at gmail.com. And in partnership with WYTV7, this is Christian Broadcasters Network. And this is When Men Open Up, a show where we are redefining manhood through transparency. My name is Dominique Bond.
I'm Dexter.
And we are out. Thank you so much.